everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Season 7 in the Surroundscapes podcast. So Surroundscapes is a podcast hosted by Bluesound Professional, focusing on different aspects of the commercial AV industry. And we have various types of podcasts within each series. We have hot topics, we have partner spotlights, we have tech Q&A, and we have case studies. For this first episode, I'm going to talk about my thoughts about the ISE show, which has just wrapped up in Barcelona at the end of last week, and I've just got back to the US from. So here we go with this one. This will be kind of a short introductory episode to the main season, but here are my thoughts on ISE. So the first thing was the attendance was up again. There was 92,170 unique attendees, and that's up from 85,000 last year. So ISE is really very comfortably the preeminent global commercial AV show. For context, the Infocom show in the US is around about 40,000, just over 40,000. And I think Infocom is becoming more and more a regional show, or maybe even a domestic show, because we saw a lot of people from Canada and from Latin America, and obviously from all over Europe at ISE. And so I think more and more the people that go to Infocom are the US integrators and consultants, and everyone else comes to ISE. ISE is earlier in the year, in late January, early February, as opposed to Infocom, which is in June. And so more and more manufacturers are gearing product launches up around ISE, which makes them old news by the time June comes around. So that was the first thing. It's going to continue to expand. There were some people in temporary halls this year, and the convention center in Barcelona is building yet another hall. I think we already have 8 halls, and there's a 9th one, which seems huge based on what I saw of the building site being built to expand it further in future. So the show had a lot of attendees, although we were in the residential section along with the rest of the Lenbrook companies. And the main thoughts from our side were that it actually wasn't as busy in the resi side as it was the previous year. But all of my friends from the pro halls have said that it was absolutely heaving. The first thing to say about this sentiment there, and I will preface this by saying I was in meetings all the way through the show, right from the first hour until the final hour. And actually, my last meeting finished a little early, so I was rushing to another booth to see some friends when I got a phone call saying, "Can you come back to the booth? There's another customer." So I really was not the best person to ask about the trends at ISE, but I did talk to lots of people about it, and this is what I heard. So the first thing was that 2025 was not the greatest year for our industry. I think bumpy was the best description I heard of it. There's obviously been in North America issues of tariffs and the general economy, and that's rippled through the global industry. And most companies at best were level. I mean, we at Bluesound Pro grew significantly in our organic business, but we're a relatively new startup company. So to some extent, we can buck some more macroeconomic trends. But most of the people I talk to, if they got to 2024's figure in 2025, they were happy. So that was the sentiment as of last year. In terms of going into this year, 2026, I think everyone's very cautious. It's really wait and see. So talking about some of the trends that I heard about in the industry, the first one was ease of use. So a lot of people were talking about ease of use. And this has many different facets. Obviously, part of it is once a system is installed, how easy it is for the end user to use it. But also, there was a lot of talk about making installation easier. So there was talk about bundling of equipment, about auto setup of equipment, and about the general process of making installations easier. This is something we know quite a lot about at Bluesound Professional because we've been involved in and continue to be involved in some very, very large deployments with tens of thousands of locations. And really, the issue there is being able to get into a location, do an installation quickly, reliably, reproducibly, and then move on and do it somewhere else. So that's what we're seeing in the hospitality and retail space. And I think that same experience mirrors in the corporate space as more and more integrators are looking to do very large scale deployments into huddle rooms, for example, globally in the UC&C side of the industry. And what those corporate end users want is the same as what our retail end users want, which is we need to be able to scale, we need to be able to deploy at scale, at speed, reliably, and reproducibly. So that's one of the things that we heard. We also heard a lot of conversation around consolidation in the industry, around companies buying other companies. This is happening at the manufacturer level. It's also happening at the integrator level, and even to some extent in the consultant level. Regionally, what we're seeing is a continuation of a trend that's been going on for a little while, which is that the Asia Pacific region is beginning to emerge as the largest region in the world. For some time now, Europe, North America, and Asia have been kind of neck and neck, with Europe and North America not growing nearly as fast as Asia, and Asia is beginning now to pull ahead. This is a little distorted in the sense that the biggest market in Asia is China, and a lot of that is satisfied by what's called Team China, so Chinese manufacturers supplying to their home market. The same thing happens in Japan to some extent. And so international companies like ours don't see the true size of the Chinese and to some extent the Japanese markets, but they're beginning to be really, really significant. In terms of what we're seeing in technologies, one of the things that is, in a way, the biggest story is that there isn't that much new. There isn't like a fantastic new widget from a manufacturer or even particularly a class of widgets. What we are seeing, though, is more partnerships between manufacturers. For example, microphone manufacturers partnering with DSP manufacturers, manufacturers partnering with soft codec manufacturers like Microsoft and Zoom. And this plays back into the ease of use conversation. So some of these partnerships are being really driven forward in the industry. And some of this is underpinned by new protocols and conventions. So, one of the protocols or the cybersecurity protocols that is most talked about at the show was MDEC, which is a new Microsoft security standard, which is being adopted by a number of manufacturers in our industry. We're seeing Shaw, Crestron, QSC, and a number of others bringing out products that are MDEC compliant. And we see this cybersecurity space becoming more and more important. So this plays into something we've been talking about for a while, which is the network in all of its forms is becoming more and more core to the industry. And it's really, really important for all of us to be better and better network citizens. So MDEC as a cybersecurity standard is important. Some of the protocol standards on the video side, so SMPTE 2110 and NDI, were being talked about more and more. And this also plays into a more a larger macro trend, which is the convergence of broadcast into the corporate space. So as content creation becomes more and more important to most companies, they're beginning to put in content creation studios into companies. And so broadcast is devolving kind of down market into end customer locations. This is a trend that's been going on for a number of years now, but it's gathering in pace. So in the absence of great new products and things, what's really been highlighted by a number of people I talked to were the conversations. And this is actually really good for us to hear, because in our industry, most companies just keep going week after week, month after month, getting the next job, making sure payroll can be looked after, because many companies in the AV space are relatively small. And they have their eyes down, their nose to the grindstone. They're just looking after their business. And for 1 week a year, we get to bring them out of that, and in this case, take them to Barcelona and expose them to everything that's new in our industry. And it's really good to hear that some of the most important things are the conversations around the products and around the trends that is happening at the trade show. So these are some of the things that we were hearing about in general, but a number of people talked about one thing, and it's something that we were showing, which was really nice to hear, which is the birth of a new collaborative line, again echoing this partnerships thing, and this is called Moodsonic Powered by Bluesound Professional. So what we're doing is partnering with Moodsonic, who are the world's leading experts in generative biophilic soundscapes. And those of you that listen to the podcast and have been for a while will have heard episodes with both Julian Treasure and Evan Benway talking about this biophilic soundscaping, how it can help with both the workplace and with healthcare. With the workplace, in terms of at its base level, a new generation of sound masking to help with privacy, but that's really the table stakes. Over this, we're overlaying generative soundscaping and the ability to create what Steelcase would call neighborhoods. So you can have in an office space a focus neighborhood, a creativity neighborhood, relaxation neighborhood, an energy neighborhood. And this goes along with activity-based working, where people don't have one desk, but they come into a workspace and they basically go hot book a space in the area of the office that most suits their needs. So for example, if I want to focus and I want to get a report done, I'll book a desk in the focus space, and the lighting will be right for focus, the furniture will be right for focus, the HVAC temperature will be right for focus, soundscape will be right for focus. And you can go through your day going between these zones. This improves employee satisfaction. It helps spaces get what's called WELL certification, which in some ways is the thing to have now, following on from a LEED certification a few years ago. And it's all to do with new ways that employers are encouraging employees to come back into their workspaces to foster creativity and innovation and community. This same thing is being deployed in healthcare spaces, so hospitals and other healthcare environments. And what's being seen there is that these soundscapes can reduce patient recovery times and improve patient satisfaction scores. These satisfaction scores are especially important in the US and also in different areas of the world where medical tourism is a thing, because people look at the hospitals in the same way as you look at restaurants and hotels and read reviews about them before committing to a particular hospital. The patient recovery time reduction is helping hospitals be more effective, economic. And the other big part of this is the impact to the actual staff, to the doctors and nurses, and improving their situation, helping them with the stress of what is a really, really important job that they do. So this whole soundscaping industry is really a new industry, taking on from sound masking, but taking it so much further. And Moodsonic are world leaders at this. And we at Bluesound Professional have partnered with Moodsonic to introduce this range of hardware called Moodsonic Powered by Bluesound Professional. And we were introducing this at ISE. So there are various architectures that you can use in this space, from a centralized to a completely decentralized architecture of hardware. But what we were introducing was really a new paradigm for us and for the industry, which is a sort of hub and spoke approach. So we introduced our first hardware there, and we were delighted to hear a lot of people, including consultants and magazine editors, saying that this was actually the most important thing that was introduced at the show. We had this feeling, and it was really good to have that seconded by attendees to the show. We won a Best of Show award for the hardware we were introducing. We did some closed door presentations as well as more open on the booth presentations, and this seemed to really hit home. So that was great, and I hope I'm not blowing our own trumpet too much. We don't really want to do that on these podcasts, but it was what I heard from a lot of magazine editors. So those are thoughts about ISE, and we're going to move on in future weeks into the main meat of our series 7 of Surroundscapes, and I'm really excited by some of the guests we have this time. In our partner spotlight section, we've got a really good discussion with Devon and Nicole from Netgear about various aspects of networking, cybersecurity, our partnership with Netgear, and how that is going to roll out. We've got Jason Knott on from D-Tools, talking about D-Tools and how that can help the integrated community. And again, what we're doing with D-Tools. We have Custom Channels, which is one of the music services that we support, a music service which is really going places at the moment and expanding its reach and its ambition. So they've been a partner of ours for a few years now, but they're really hitting their stride now. And Mark Willett from Custom Channels is talking about what they do and why they're becoming more and more important. We have some really fun hot topics. One of the ones I'm most excited by is my friend Tamás Veszpuri from the Hungarian company Max Intensity. Tamás does some of the largest projection mapping installations in the world, which is really central to this immersive experiences part of the industry that I've talked about a lot. And he does some super impressive installations all around the world. He talks about that and how he got into it. We have another hot topics that I'm not going to talk about now because it's kind of under wraps at the moment, but it'll happen near the end of the season with another old friend and another what is called friend of the pod, has been in previous podcast episodes, but he is doing some really interesting stuff, which is secret at the moment, but later on in the podcast series, we'll be able to talk about it. So we have a load of guests. As usual, we've got our case studies, we've got our tech Q&A with Ross and Risa. They've just been recording those now for the episodes later on in this series. So please tune in. every week and see what's new in Surroundscapes. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on the Surroundscapes part of our website, which is bluesoundprofessional.com, or you can find us at your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, whatever, if you just want to listen to the audio part of it. But all of these are video podcasts, so I encourage you to actually watch them as well as listen to them. And thank you for coming back for this season 7, and see you next week.